Live from New Delhi, you're watching BD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds delegation-level talks with Prime Minister Andrej Plenković. 4 MoUs signed between India and Croatia. India launches Operation Sindhu to evacuate Indian nationals from Iran. First flight carrying 110 Indian students on way home. US President Donald Trump says Iran proposed a possible meeting at the White House, but it is very late to be talking. Trump also says his patience has run out. Prime Minister Modi held delegation-level talks with Croatia's Prime Minister Andrej Plenković in Zagreb. The leaders held discussions on a wide range of issues. Following delegation-level talks, India and Croatia exchanged 4 agreements. MoUs were exchanged in the fields of agriculture and allied sectors. A cultural exchange program was agreed upon between the two nations for the years 2026 to 2030. A program of cooperation was signed in the field of science and technology for the period 2025 to 2029. An MoU was also signed between Indian Council of Cultural Relations and the University of Zagreb on the establishment of an ICCR chair of Hindi. Addressing a press meeting, PM Modi said that the centuries-old cultural relations are the root of mutual affection and goodwill. He added that both leaders have decided to increase cooperation in many areas to increase bilateral trade and create a reliable supply chain.
और विश्वसनीय सप्लाई चेन तैयार करने के लिए कई क्षेत्रों में सहयोग बढ़ाने का निर्णय लिया है। हम फार्मा, एग्रीकल्चर, इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी, क्लीन टेक्नोलॉजी, डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, सेमीकंडक्टर, ऐसे कई महत्वपूर्ण विषयों में सहयोग को बढ़ावा देंगे। शिप बिल्डिंग और साइबर सिक्योरिटी में सहयोग बढ़ाया जाएगा। हमने अपने एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस और सेंटर्स के बीच जॉइंट रिसर्च और कोलैबोरेशन पर बल दिया है। भारत अपने स्पेस अनुभव को क्रोएशिया के साथ साझा करेगा।
PM Modi added that respect for the territorial integrity and sovereignty of any country is essential. He reiterated that dialogue and diplomacy are the only way forward to solve issues.
हम दोनों सहमत हैं कि आज के वैश्विक वातावरण में भारत और यूरोप की साझेदारी बहुत महत्व रखती है। ईयू के साथ हमारी स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप को मजबूत करने में क्रोएशिया का समर्थन और सहयोग बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। हम दोनों इस बात का समर्थन करते हैं कि यूरोप हो या एशिया, समस्याओं का समाधान रणभूमि से नहीं निकलता। डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी से ही वही एकमात्र रास्ता है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi stressed that both nations agree that India-Europe partnership holds great importance in today's global environment. He thanked Croatian government for their support against terrorism.
हम सहमत हैं कि आतंकवाद मानवता का दुश्मन है, लोकतंत्र में विश्वास रखने वाली शक्तियों का विरोधी है। 22 अप्रैल को भारत में हुए आतंकी हमले पर संवेदनाओं के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री जी और क्रोएशिया सरकार के हार्दिक आभारी हैं। ऐसे कठिन समय में हमारे मित्र देशों का साथ हमारे लिए बहुत मूल्यवान था। हम दोनों सहमत हैं कि आज के वैश्विक वातावरण में भारत और यूरोप की साझेदारी बहुत महत्व रखती है।
In a joint presser, Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković says that both nations share friendly relations with a lot of mutual respect with significant historical ties. He added that today's agreements will further add momentum to the ties. He hailed PM Modi's initiative of the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor.
We believe that Prime Minister Modi's initiative on the economic corridor between India, Middle East and Europe is an excellent opportunity. So India, European Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel and then European ports. This is an opportunity to connect Croatia as a Mediterranean gate to Central Europe and to connect it to India, India's economy and India's market. This year, Croatia presides over the Three Seas initiative connecting Baltic Sea, Black Sea and the Adriatic Sea. So this corridor will get even greater Central European dimension.
Croatia's Prime Minister added that two leaders discussed India's efforts to conclude the free trade agreement with the European Union, which Croatia supports.
We have also talked about Indian efforts to conclude the free trade agreement with the European Union, which Croatia supports. We believe that these negotiations will finalize as soon as possible, negotiations about free trade agreement, because that will strengthen our cooperation and it will facilitate easier trade between Croatia and India.
Croatia's Prime Minister also expressed solidarity with victims of Pahalgam terrorist attack and supported PM Modi's stand against terrorism.
Expressed sorrow for the terrorist attack that happened in India, after which India had to react. And we also said that the global situation in terms of security is very volatile. So it is important to have the most influential actors worldwide to give their contribution to peace, de-escalate conflict, and to respect the rule of international law. We have understood very well the Indian Prime Minister message on fighting against terrorism.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Croatia's President Zoran Milanovic as well. In a significant gesture of friendship and shared respect for national heritage, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with his Croatian counterpart Andrej Plenković, visited the Homeland Memorial in Zagreb. The two leaders paid their tributes at the site, which stands as a solemn reminder of Croatia's struggle for independence and unity. And Prime Minister Modi also took a walk through the heart of Zagreb, warmly engaging with members of the public and experiencing the city's vibrant culture firsthand. The outreach reflects growing ties between India and Croatia, grounded in mutual respect and people-to-people connect. Right, joining us for more on the PM's ongoing visit is Dr. Harinder Sekhon, a consultant with the Vivekananda International Foundation. Dr. Sekhon, welcome to DD India. First up, your thoughts on the way PM's visit to Croatia has shaped up so far. Your thoughts on the optics and outcomes from the visit?
I think it's a very positive visit, and the kind of mileage it has got and the kind of reception he has got in Croatia is tremendous. I mean, it's a very small Indian community over there, but I was seeing visuals earlier on also. I think it is a tremendous visit, the first ever by an Indian Prime Minister to Croatia. And the other significant thing is that, we have built upon this over a period of time from old cultural historical ties. And in 1992, we did establish diplomatic relations with Croatia. And there has been a steady engagement. But I think this visit, because of the media and Prime Minister Modi's persona, and the very fact that he's chosen Croatia and Cyprus to reach out to Central European countries and to engage with them, as especially and not just as a small part of the greater engagement with EU, is extremely significant.
Indeed. Dr. Sekhon, do stay on. I'll come back to you momentarily. In the meantime, I'm joined by my colleague Jessica Taneja, who is standing by in Zagreb. Jessica, you've spent the last few days in Zagreb. You also interacted with the locals and the Indian diaspora alike. What are some of the highlights of the PM's visit to that country?
You heard from Secretary West Pamela just a short while ago that Prasar said that engagement with Indian diaspora was quite fruitful. They welcomed him at the hotel and given them. They were here present, quite excited to meet the Prime Minister, as well as looking forward to the engagements throughout the day. They have been tracking all the developments, and most of the people of the diaspora that I spoke to were quite enthused about this visit, the first by an Indian Prime Minister to Croatia. Certainly goes on to strengthen ties beyond just traditional sectors of trade and economics, but also looking at the cultural ties. We spoke to a few students in the morning where they did tell us that Hindi is quite popular, as well as Sanskrit, not to forget the Indian culture. As the Prime Minister also pointed out, there is a University of Zagreb, which has the Department of Indology for the last 60 years. So continuing to engage in those aspects also goes a long way while we focus on
Right, we'll try to connect with Jessica in just a bit. Jessica, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, Ramesh, I can hear you.
Do finish making your intervention there.
Well, as I said, the engagements between the Prime Minister of India and the Prime Minister of Croatia have been witnessed by the diaspora as well. People were excited, and they felt a moment of pride at that point where they saw the leaders engage. And certainly for the diaspora who've been living here for some time now, we're excited to see the Prime Minister throughout the day. We spoke to a few students who were present here. They did tell us that the popularity of Indian culture is quite prevalent, not just food, but also moving beyond the exchanges of culture, especially when you talk about education. The University of Zagreb here, as I said, has a Department of Indology and is continuing to lay emphasis on Sanskrit and Indian culture, and important, authors and religious manuscripts are also quite popular here with people who have keen interest in understanding India and its heritage and its culture. So we've seen those, I met those people in the morning where they did seem to express their joy at the Prime Minister's arrival here in Croatia. Now his engagements continue till the evening, and as I said, first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to this Adriatic nation certainly has given a greater momentum to the relationship. You heard a short while ago from Secretary West Pamela, who had pointed out that cultural exchanges is important, and certainly the two nations have been building up on it, given the relationship that was established right after Croatia gained independence in 1992. The bilateral exchanges had begun. So, interesting turn of events today, Ramesh, where the diaspora as well as the local Croatians expressed great joy seeing the Indian Prime Minister in Zagreb.
Indeed, I want to take that point across to Dr. Sekho. Dr. Sekho, soft power coming into sharp focus there. The Prime Minister Modi's visit to Croatia, for instance, we've seen, as my colleague Jessica was reporting there, a lot of interest in all things Indian. We have seen an affinity for Indian dance and music, Indian culture, Indian languages, including Hindi and Sanskrit. She spoke about the Indology studies in the University of Zagreb. We also know that Croatia is a destination for some Bollywood films also. Is soft power going to be able to ramp up the ties between India and Croatia in general, and India and the European Union countries in particular, given that the fact that the PM also traveled to Cyprus recently?
Soft power has always played a very important role in Indian foreign policy, because if you remember, when we were on the wrong side of the Cold War and the United States was aligned against us, but Indian soft power is what and the US soft power worked to foster people-to-people connect. And over here in Croatia, I think there's been a great deal of emphasis on what has just been mentioned by your colleague in Zagreb. The cultural setting up of the Hindi chair, the ICCR. Now, all these will encourage, foster greater exchange of students, and maybe they're going to be joint studies. I'm sure, the experts are going to work out joint courses for study and to have greater interaction and exchange of students. So apart from soft power, we've also seen that the small Indian diaspora, the Indian community which is there are Indian restaurants which are quite popular in Croatia, and it's also emerging as a very popular tourism destination. But apart from soft power, I think it's also, the strategic aspect of this relationship which the Prime Minister has talked about, and which both leaders have talked about, be it technology and, exchange of setting up mechanisms for skill development and human resources. That, of course, comes as an extension of soft power. So I think the Prime Minister has done well, because we have been working with Croatia, but to give the country a special place and to build Croatia's Indian development and Croatian aspirations, I think there's a great future for the two countries to work together, and it could be a win-win situation for both of them, because India needs, when it comes to our skill development, Viksit Bharat, smart cities, and Croatia has that kind of technology, niche technology in IT and also artificial intelligence. So I think this is something where there's a lot of synergy. And so it's both, soft power and also what has been talked about, the maritime security aspect, how Croatia is important from the point of view of IMEC, the linkages for the transport corridors which India is trying to foster in this region, because it is a vitally important region. So I think it's going to be an all-encompassing kind of developments which we will see henceforth between India and Croatia.
Indeed, and Jessica, coming to you now, we've seen that defense cooperation has been a recurring theme in the PM's engagements throughout his travels in both Europe and North America. We saw him speak about ramping up defense ties with Cyprus when he was there a few days ago. We saw him make the same argument here in Croatia as well. He spoke about in his joint press statement with the Croatian Prime Minister, he spoke about how India is keen to ramp up defense ties with Croatia and also explore avenues of cooperation, including the field of exports of defense equipment and arms and ammunition. So is that the next big idea, so to speak, in the India-Croatia ties, hard power as well?
Ramesh should recall there was an MoU signed between India and Croatia some time ago, defense cooperation, and certainly now with the Prime Minister's visit, we see some fruition and some movement in that direction. When I did ask Secretary Vesanmilal about the defense cooperation, he said that we're looking at industrial level collaboration between India and Croatia, since the defense industry is quite strong and quite widespread in Croatia, especially if you talk about UAVs and UGVs and unarmed aerial vehicles and unarmed ground vehicles and other important technology as well. So when we talk about science and tech, it also includes defense tech and various other exchanges. So when it comes to the defense cooperation, this announcement did bring in more light on the aspect that India and Croatia are very keen, like it was discussed, as you said, in Canada as well as Cyprus. Even in Croatia, this was the focus of discussion between the two leaders. So there'll be a joint press statement where we know exactly what they're looking forward to. But what I did understand is industrial level cooperation, something that we picked up from the MOU that was signed.
All right, we'll leave it there. That was my colleague Jessica Taneja reporting there from Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, as the Prime Minister's visit to that country draws to a close. Jessica, thank you. Appreciate it. Dr. Sekhon, coming to you now for a big picture emerging from the PM's travels across Europe and North America, talking about the G7 summit hosted by Canada, talking about the PM's visit to Cyprus before that. If I can start with Cyprus, you think the messaging, signaling was very clear that in relation to Turkey, it cannot be business as usual, given the fact that Turkey supported Pakistan politically, diplomatically during and before Operation Sindoor. Turkey turns a blind eye to terrorism emanating from Pakistan. Turkey also supplied drones to Pakistan to attack India with. So clearly the signaling or messaging of the choice of visiting Cyprus was not lost on anyone, including Turkey for that matter.
Absolutely, Ramesh, you got it absolutely right. And I think ever since Pahalgam, we have not shied away. We have made it very clear that if we are hit, we are going to retaliate and not be apologetic about hitting at terror infrastructure across the border. And I think this message and also Operation Sindoor has driven home the point that India now means business. We are not going to be sitting ducks. And if Pakistan is not going to bend its ways, there is going to be a heavy cost which is going to be incurred on Pakistan. Its nuclear bluff is not going to be tolerated anymore. And I think one of the reasons for visiting Croatia, if you remember, it came out very strongly against the attack in Pahalgam, and they issued a statement and expressed solidarity with India in its war on terror. And this is also something which has not been missed on the PMO over here. And I think that this is one of the reasons that even today, when the two prime ministers met, they referred to Pahalgam and the fight against terror. Similarly, I think even in G7, the prime minister was very forthright about it, that we are not looking at anything which is escalatory, but at the same time, we are going to deter the enemy in a most effective manner. So I think not just Cyprus, but the entire message post-Sindoor has been, we've sent out parliamentary delegations as well. And this is the Prime Minister's first visit abroad after overseas visit after Pahalgam and Operation Sindoor. So he has engaged with global leaders and put across our case, I think, in a very straightforward manner, that India has suffered enough, and we've reached if Trump today can say that he's reached his level of patience, but I think India has really been a victim of terror for far too long. And if we are taking effective deterrent steps, I think in our own self-interest and for our national security, India is totally justified, and this message has gone across.
Indeed. Dr. Sekhon, do stay on. I'll come back to you momentarily. Let me pull up some more news for our viewers. Now, Secretary West in India's Ministry of External Affairs, Tanmay Lal, also highlighted that the visit took place against the backdrop of serious global challenges and flux. The leaders discussed a range of regional and global issues, including ongoing conflicts and other major developments. Cooperation in counter-terrorism featured prominently in their talks.
The two leaders during the delegation level talks and other occasions have discussed a very broad range of issues. As you're aware, the visit takes place against the backdrop of serious global challenges and flux. The leaders discussed regional and global issues, including ongoing conflicts and other major developments. Cooperation in counterterrorism was a prominent theme of discussions. Prime Minister Modi thanked Prime Minister Plenković for Croatia's support and solidarity in the wake of the terror attacks in Pahalgam. The two leaders agreed that there is a huge potential to expand trade, investment and innovation linkages. Some of the areas where there are business linkages include IT, pharmaceuticals, equipment for wind and solar power generation, railway signaling, arms and unmanned vehicles, ports and shipping, tourism and hospitality.
Dr. Sekho, coming back to you, let me shift our attention to the G7 summit now. Sometimes, as they say, what takes place on the margins of a summit becomes as important as the summit itself. In that context, how do you see the bilateral meeting between the Prime Ministers of India and Canada? Are we looking at the beginning of a reset in bilateral ties?
Well, I should hope so, because this is the Prime Minister's visit coming after a decade. And I think the two sides have agreed to restore ambassadorial, the high commissioners are going to be put back in place. I think Canada has been a very important partner to India and vice versa. And this dip in relations has been very unfortunate. So with the change of guard in Canada, I think the Prime Minister, the Canadian Prime Minister Carney, he himself has made efforts to first invite Prime Minister Modi. And also, I think they're trying to clear the air about what actually created this whole misunderstanding and became, quite tough. So the bilateral meeting, they've talked about trade, they've talked about contentious issues like support to terror infrastructure, etc. And, even the Canadian government, it's a democratic country. I don't think there is any systematic support for anti-India activities over there. These are fringe elements which act on their own and create a lot of misunderstanding, and I'm sorry to say, but the media then plays it up. And I think that is something which the Canadian Prime Minister can't.
Dr. Sekho, I think you'll have to unmute yourself, please. I'm afraid we've lost that link with Dr. Sekho. We'll try to reconnect with her if time permits. But Dr. Sekho, thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts and perspective. I'm told she's back with us. Dr. Sekho, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sure.
So we were talking about the Canadian Prime Minister.
Right.
I think he has reached out to Prime Minister Modi, and the bilateral meeting has gone well. And it is hoped, because Canada and India have had a very healthy partnership over decades, and the two countries, vibrant democracies, if they can get rid of this misunderstanding which has dogged the relationship, and I think it is a new start. And it's a very positive start, and I think both sides really need to move on and put the baggage behind them.
And finally, one more question, Dr. Sekho, to you. The other news coming out of the G7 summit in Canada was the early departure of President Trump from the summit. ostensibly to take care of the Israel-Iran tensions that's confronting the world at large. In that context, we've since heard that the President has held a meeting of his National Security Council. He's also posted messages on Iran and the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. There's still a lot of talk, a lot of buzz about whether the US will or will not join the war against Iran. There is some opinion that probably the US might give Israel the so-called bunker-busting bombs to help Israel take out the Iranian underground facilities, for instance, in Fordo. How do you read the possibility or probability of the US joining Israel against Iran?
I think the US, as it is supporting Iran to a much larger extent. If you read between the lines and if you see the interviews of various American people which are coming out, I think some kind of tacit understanding and support to Israel is already there. But when it comes to Trump, his last statement, which I saw a couple of hours back, was, I don't know what I'm going to do. So he is as unpredictable as ever, but his threat to the Iranian leader that there has to be surrender has not gone down well with Iran. That's not the way to deal with them, because it's a proud country. And I think a little bit of depth diplomacy is what is required rather than giving ultimatums. But when it comes to giving Israel, because Trump did say at the G7 and soon after that when he departed, that Iran cannot have the nuclear bomb, and if we will do whatever is necessary to prevent them. So it seems at this time that maybe they would give Israel the go-ahead and also provide them with the bombs to bust their bunkers and the nuclear facility. It seems likely.
All right, as you say, watch this space. Dr. Sekhon, thank you for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Right, moving on to some other news that we're tracking here on DD India. As tensions escalate in West Asia amid the ongoing Iran-Israel conflict, India launched Operation Sindhu to evacuate its nationals from the conflict zone of Iran. In a swift response, the Indian embassy successfully evacuated 110 Indian students from northern part of Iran. On 17 June, these students were moved by road to Yerevan, the capital of Armenia. They're now being flown to New Delhi with their arrival expected in the early hours of the 19th of June. While Operation Sindhu is underway, the embassy continues to assist Indian nationals in relocating from high-risk areas to safer zones within Iran, with further evacuations being planned as conditions allow. Indian citizens in Iran have been urged to remain in close contact with the embassy in Tehran and the Ministry of External Affairs' 24/7 control room in New Delhi for timely updates and assistance. US President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that Iran is now looking to engage in negotiations, but he dismissed the attempt, remarking, "I said it is very late." His comments come amid intensifying military clashes between Iran and Israel and increasing speculation about possible US involvement.
I said it's very late, you know? I said it's very late to be talking.
Mr. President,
we may meet. I don't know. There's a big difference between now and a week ago, right?
Declining to confirm whether the United States intends to target Iranian nuclear facilities, President Trump said, "You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question. I may do it, I may not do it."
You don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country. It's very sad.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei rejected US President Donald Trump's demand for unconditional surrender on Wednesday. In a recorded speech aired on television, Khamenei said that the Americans should know that any U.S. military intervention will undoubtedly be accompanied by irreparable damage.
And of course, the Americans, those who are familiar with the politics of this region, know that America's intervention in this matter is 100% to their detriment. What they will suffer in this regard is much greater than what Iran may suffer. The damage America will suffer if it makes a military intervention in this field will undoubtedly be irreparable.
Bangladesh's economy is showing signs of serious stress as GDP growth slows, foreign investment drops, and unemployment rises, sparking concerns about long-term instability. According to the World Bank, the GDP growth for financial year 24-25 may fall to 3.3%, the lowest in 2 decades. Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry reports a 70% decline in foreign investments in the first half of the fiscal year. The World Bank's Bangladesh Development Update also warns that by 2025, over 3 million more people may slip into poverty because of weak investment and domestic challenges. Experts caution that the national budget's reliance on imports instead of strengthening domestic industries may deepen the crisis unless urgent reforms are undertaken. In a powerful and forward-looking session hosted by the International Advertising Association's India chapter, Chairman of Prasar Bharati, Navneet Kumar Sehgal, outlined an ambitious vision for the future of India's public broadcaster. At an event titled Prasar Bharati, Unlocking the Potential, the focus was firmly on the evolving role of public broadcasting in a fast-changing media landscape. Speaking on the challenges and opportunities ahead, Prasar Bharati chairperson Sehgal said that the broadcaster must stay connected with the public, entertaining and engaging them while ensuring the delivery of factual and reliable information. Stressing the importance of modernization, Mr. Sehgal reaffirmed Prasar Bharati's commitment to its core values, highlighting its distinct role in maintaining credibility in today's noisy and cluttered media space.
I have put all of our stuff, your OTT, entertainment, TV, radio, all into this. I tell my people that maybe another 10-15 years you may not see TV. All of our functions are on smartphone. Then get and improve your content. So that's what now we are working on, to get the better content. How do we engage the young minds? And we are now going to put a section of games also in this.
As India prepares for the 11th International Day of Yoga on Saturday, June 21st, yoga sessions were held at various locations with participants performing traditional poses. As the world gears up to celebrate International Day of Yoga on June 21st, Croatia is demonstrating its growing embrace of this ancient practice, with numerous events planned across the country highlighting yoga's profound benefits for physical and mental well-being. Our next report gets you more.
The significance of International Day of Yoga, observed annually on the summer solstice, lies in its aim to raise global awareness about the holistic approach of yoga to health and harmony. Yoga's interconnected benefits for both individual wellness and ecological sustainability, resonating deeply with Croatia's stunning natural landscapes. Yoga has been steadily gaining popularity in Croatia, moving beyond niche circles to become an integral part of many people's daily lives. This increasing interest is evident in the proliferation of yoga studios, retreats, and community events appearing across the nation, from the bustling capital of Zagreb to the serene coastal towns and islands. Testimonials from Croatian yoga practitioners often speak of improved physical health, reduced stress, enhanced mental clarity, and a greater sense of inner peace. The practice is lauded for its ability to balance hormones, strengthen the nervous system, detoxify the body, and foster self-compassion. Yoga is not just a passing trend, but a valuable and increasingly cherished part of Croatia's wellness landscape. Bureau Report, DD India.
And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code that is now on your screen to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.